At the beginning, sir, I would like to quote what the President said on his address to the nation. In that, I quote, "As a nation, we have to go very far to make our independence complete. Terrorists were able to get the world to bring pressure on us, a free and sovereign state. That was possible because the terrorists had the capability to bring pressure on those governments. Therefore, it is necessary to begin a new era in foreign relations to safeguard my motherland. Having won the freedom of our motherland, we must next establish our freedom and sovereignty internationally. We are not a carbon copy of any other country. Our country that gave courage to Asia by defeating terrorism, that could not be defeated elsewhere in the world, should be made the pride of Asia." ආසියාවේ තිබෙන ඉතාමත්ම දීප්තිමත් තරුව ශ්‍රී ලංකාව විය යුතුයි කියන එක ජනාධිපතිතුමා කිව්වා මේ ලබාගත් ත්‍රස්තවාදී පරාජයෙන් ලබාගත් ජයග්‍රහණයත් ජනතාවට ඒ තුලින් ලබා දුන්න නිදහසත් සම්බන්ධ කරගෙන. President Mahinda Rajapaksa heralded a new era in Sri Lanka's international relations when he addressed the nation at the Victory Day parade on 3rd June at Goldface Green, where he stated the above words. I stand before this august house today to join fellow members to pay our collective humble tribute to our brave security forces who have laid down their lives for the defense of our motherland, in order to enable all of us to breathe the air of freedom once again, after living under the dark shadow of terrorism that has flung our nation for almost 3 decades. I take this opportunity to echo the sentiments of President Rajapaksa in his above address to the nation, to gratefully acknowledge the support of the international community in protecting our freedom and sovereignty. In His Excellency, the President's words, and I quote, "We have been able to build genuine good relations with the international community. These honest friends have carried out the greatest responsibility towards our freedom and sovereignty in this era. We value very much the assistance we received from all these countries at this moment. Our people who enjoy the satisfaction of freedom together with them must always have in their hearts the friendship extended by these friends from overseas." Even at the risk of repetition, I believe it is incumbent upon me to recapitulate the action taken by members of the international community to curb the manifold activities of the LTT abroad. India, the United States, the United Kingdom, the 27-member European Union, and Canada have all proscribed the LTT as a terrorist organization. The ready support we have been consistently receiving from our friends in the international community have enhanced the capacity for our nation's heroes, the brave members of the armed forces, ably assisted by the police and the civil defense force, to achieve this historic and comprehensive victory over LTT terrorism. Our quiet diplomacy trumped it being able to secure an uninterrupted supply line to meet the procurement needs of our armed forces, the diplomatic clearances that were vital in obtaining overflight rights to transport urgent supplies by air, the intelligence received from friendly countries that made it possible for our Navy to intercept and destroy the floating arsenals of the LTT are a tangible manifestation of our highly successful and constructive engagement with the international community in eliminating the menace of terrorism from the shores of our island. As I pointed out at the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore at the end of last month, a high-profile defense and security diplomacy forum in Asia, Sri Lanka would undoubtedly enter the annals of history as a classic textbook example of a nation that successfully prevailed over the scourge of terrorism whilst tenaciously upholding our time-honored and cherished values of democracy and human rights that have been so profoundly impugned in the lifeblood of our nation. Thus, we find it utterly despicable and, quite frankly, appalling to be confronted with the wholly unsubstantiated and ludicrous allegations being bandied about on civilian casualties and call for a so-called war crimes investigation. For the record, let me boldly and quite categorically state that the conduct of our armed forces throughout the period of the latest and the most decisive phase of engagement against the LTT has been exemplary. We as Sri Lankans can be truly proud of our uniformed men and women who are a role model for militaries around the world, both in the prosecution of the hostilities against the LTT as well as in the post-conflict operations catering to the humanitarian needs of the IDPs. Our security forces have exemplified the noble and sublime values of all the great religions and cultures that coexist peacefully amongst our people. The hallmark of military operations has been the humanitarian element that underpins the successful outcome that we bear witness today and acknowledged by the opposition. If there is an iota of truth in these fanciful allegations against our security forces, how does one account for the thousands of civilians who literally braved the bullets of the LTT and fled across the front lines in Mulat